Hey, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Am I on or no?
Mic check, mic check.
Sorry, can you do your mic check again?
Oh, for crying out loud. Were they not listening the first time? Are you listening now? Mic check 1, 2, 3. Mic check 1, 2.
With coverage you can count on, this is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Cameron Taylor here with meteorologist Nick Austin. And Nick, we certainly saw some rain and the wind was howling at some points too.
I tell you, it moved through fast, but yeah, those winds were whipping. The rain was coming down hard, at least for a short time. But it's almost completely out of the viewing area now. So we will show you what's going on. If we go to the weather computer, we want to show that live shot from the downtown Holiday Inn camera and just let folks know, yeah, the streets still look pretty wet out there and there are a few raindrops still on the camera lens, but overall things are going to be drying out through the overnight hours. So looking at the latest radar, there's not much rain left. There's still mainly some patchy areas of light and some moderate rain from Calhoun up to Blue Ridge and near the Murphy area, eastern Polk County too. But the main thing is the winds. The winds will still be strong from time to time through the overnight hours, even though the rain will be moving out. So keep that in mind. We still have a wind advisory for a whole Channel 3 viewing area last time I checked, still until 4 o'clock this morning. Right now, cloudy here in the city, 52 degrees. It's cooled down a pretty good amount, and we'll be dropping in the 40s overnight, 45 around 3 in the morning, and by about 6 o'clock in the morning, we'll be down in the lower 40s with temperatures down maybe close to freezing in the higher elevations west of Chattanooga as we head towards the early morning hours tomorrow. I'll have more on that chilly Sunday forecast coming out in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Nick. Certainly going to be cold. Police in Trenton, Georgia are searching for a missing woman. 46-year-old Tracy Moses' sister reported her missing this morning. She told police she has not had contact with Tracy since last Saturday. She's described as 5 feet tall and weighs around 160 pounds. She has dark brown shoulder-length hair and brown eyes. Now, she was last seen wearing a maroon t-shirt and dark pants. If you see her, call Trenton Police at either number on your screen. And just into our newsroom, the Georgia State Patrol is working a fatal crash on US 41 in Ringgold. Now, this happened just after 8 o'clock tonight. The vehicle was heading toward I-75 near exit 345, we're told, when it crossed the median in the southbound lanes before going down an embankment, hitting the bottom. One person is dead, according to GSP. We'll continue to update this story as more information becomes available. And Ringgold police are looking for the man seen in these pictures right here. He's wanted for armed robbery at the Walgreens pharmacy on Alabama Highway tonight. This happened after 7:30. He's described as white and is around 45 to 55 years old. He's also between 5'8" and 5'10", weighs around 220 to 230 pounds. If you know who he is, call the Ringgold Police Department. And the SRO at Grundy County High School no longer has access to security footage. Sheriff Clint Schrum told us when the SRO went to his office yesterday, the surveillance monitors were gone. They had been moved to the principal's office. The sheriff says that could impact student safety and his department's emergency response plan. Now, the monitors were eventually returned to the SRO's office, but permission is needed to see the video still. We reached out to the Grundy County Director of Schools for a statement, but have not heard back. We're learning more about an early morning shooting here in Chattanooga. Police say one person is dead and 2 other people were injured. The shooting happened around 5 o'clock this morning, and Channel 3's Caitlin Chastain was at the scene and spoke with neighbors who say the violence has to stop.
It seemed like the whole neighborhood is blocked off. And
yellow crime scene tape and police lights filled Mark Mink's front yard as he watched police swarm a portion of Roanoke Avenue Saturday morning, right next to his new home.
pretty stressful, pretty concerning. I just got here just a few days ago.
Police are investigating after one person was found dead and another shot. They tell Channel 3 that person was taken to the hospital. We watched as investigators focused on 2 cars wrecked in the front yard of a home, and a crowd of people stood by with police. Many neighbors say the intersection is a high-traffic area during all hours of the day, many cars detouring because of the crime scene. They tell Channel 3 they wish it had more security to help monitor crime. Some neighbors say they wish the intersection had cameras, like the ones Chattanooga police use. Those cameras are already placed around the city, but police previously told Channel 3 they can be moved if they notice a shift in crime activity. Other neighbors say it should also be a community effort.
Try to maybe implement some kind of neighborhood watch or more patrolling, or something to keep all the families around here a little bit more secure and feel like they're safe.
Until then, Mink says he will make sure his home is protected until he decides what the safest option is for his family.
Make me feel like I need to secure my property more, or maybe try to find a different, better location.
In Chattanooga, Caitlin Chastain, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
And even though there is not a camera at the intersection of Roanoke and Wilcox, there is one less than half a mile away at the intersection of Dodson and Wilcox. In Rossville, Georgia, police are searching for 4 people they say are connected to a drive-by shooting. Officers say shots were fired in the direction of a home on Spruce Street today. No one was hurt, but a windshield was shattered by the gunfire. One neighbor says up until today, it's been a quiet neighborhood.
If it happened a block away, it could happen right here, and that's just very unnerving to me. We've not had any problems on this street for the 2 years we've been here, and now we've got a drive-by shooting. It's just very, very unnerving, very scary.
Eyewitnesses tell police the shots came from a black Ford Taurus that was carrying 4 men. Police are looking for that car. The family of a 5-year-old boy who was killed earlier this year at the Sundial restaurant in Atlanta is suing for negligence. Charlie Holt was killed in April after he was trapped between the rotating portion of the restaurant's floor and wall. That's a space of only about 4 to 5 inches. The lawsuit says the restaurant had no protections to stop children from getting close to a dangerous area or to stop the floor's rotation if a child became trapped. Next here on Eyewitness News at 11, a local church gave away Thanksgiving baskets to help community members celebrate the upcoming holiday.
Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Mine.
Welcome back. Neighbors from 4 different communities are receiving a helping hand for the holidays. Hope Harvest organizers are expected to serve close to 1,000 people who need extra assistance this time of year. And Channel 3's Casey Freeman joins us live in the studio. And Casey, you spoke with 2 people who received help, right?
That's right, Cameron. For some families, enjoying holiday festivities are hard financially. Hope Harvest aims to bridge that gap to create stronger families and communities. Hope Harvest is on a mission to plant a seed of hope in Chattanooga neighborhoods. One way they plan on giving back this holiday season is providing assistance to those who may be going without this year.
It's just helping everybody, who needs it. Everybody needs it, The help he give us, everybody needs it.
This year, the Hope Harvest volunteers gave away about 800 turkeys. Health screenings were also available, as well as prayer.
To listen to the word.
Yes.
Enjoy coming and seeing the people that I haven't seen in a long time.
Beverly and Shirley are best friends, and they have been members of the Eastdale community their whole life. They look forward to using the turkey to bring their families together.
Turkey dressing, ham, chitlins, macaroni cheese, potato salad, pecan pies.
The duo is also grateful for the toys and clothing for family members of all ages.
Thankful for, the clothes, and thankful for the turkey, and just for Mama to be.
East Chattanooga Community Center was new to the Hope Harvest serving area. The group also served South and West Side Recreation Centers, as well as Eastdale Community Center. Live in the studio, Casey Freeman, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Casey. At the VFW on Lee Highway today, the Special Olympics held a dart tournament today along with the Greater Chattanooga Darting Association. More than 200 people attended this weekend event. The Darting Association has held this event for more than 30 years, and for the past 5 years, Special Olympians have joined them.
They love it because they get to throw darts with the pros.
Sounds like a lot of fun right there. Money raised this weekend by the Darting Association goes toward the local Special Olympics. A Florida nun who became known as the Chainsaw Nun was honored yesterday in Miami. Sister Margaret Ann was surprised during a pep rally at the high school for her display of community service during Hurricane Irma. Now, this cell phone video of her using a chainsaw to clear scattered debris you see right there went viral after the storm. Yesterday, the high school along with the Miami Heat honored her. The NBA team gave her a $5,000 check for the charity of her choice and tickets to a Miami Heat game. Sister Margaret Ann says she was only doing what was needed.
All I wanted to do is clear the road and make it safer for other people. I had no idea. I still don't understand why it went so viral.
And if you didn't know, Sister Margaret is the principal of the school. Next here in Eyewitness News 11, a walk was held today to raise autism awareness. And it was the first year for Chattanooga's Hip Hop Festival, showcasing local artists.
But the winds are still pretty strong. Our live shot here from the View Apartments up in the Riz, the camera has been shaking every so often, so especially up in those higher elevations, the winds are going to stay strong through the rest of the night. Even in the valleys, we could see some pretty decent gusts. But the heavy rain is out of the way, and the storm threat for the rest of the night is also gone. Temperatures ranging from the mid-40s at Nashville to the low 50s here in Chattanooga, and we're talking about upper 50s to low 60s right along that front from Montgomery up to Atlanta. So that front's just starting to move to our south and east, with most of us seeing temperatures in the 50s right now. 52 Cleveland, 52 here in the city. It's 57 down in Dalton, but it has cooled off to 48 up in Athens at the McMinn County Airport. And where you see the blue on the map here up on the Cumberland Plateau, we're talking about temperatures that have probably cooled down into the low 40s or maybe even a little bit below 40 already up in parts of Grundy County, especially northern Grundy County. But here's the rain, just some scattered areas of mainly light rain from Murphy down to around Ellijay, Blue Ridge, Georgia, all pushing eastward. It's all moving to the east. So these last few batches of rain will be clear of Murphy and northeast Georgia, probably by about midnight or so. So here's the cold front, the clash of the warmer and the milder air and the more humid air that we had during the daytime, and the dry, colder air that's behind it moving in from the west. So along that boundary is where we saw the showers and maybe a few rumbles of thunder. And the winds, the pressure difference between this low pressure along the cold front and the high pressure moving in is pretty strong. So that's why the winds are going to keep up through the rest of the night. But by late tonight, the clouds will be gone and the winds will start to kind of back off and slacken a little bit during the day tomorrow. A lot of sunshine tomorrow, but cold air moving into the Tennessee Valley, and it'll still be breezy off and on through the day. So it is going to feel like a winter day tomorrow as far as temperatures, even though it will be sunny. So especially across the Smokies, there might even be a few just snow flurries in some of the highest elevations out there. It probably won't happen for any of us. But overall tomorrow it's just going to be colder and breezy, but at least the sun will be out. Tomorrow night and heading into the day on Monday, things are looking quiet as well. It'll only get a little bit milder through the week, but temperatures are still going to be pretty cool all Thanksgiving week. 42/100ths of an inch of rain at the airport, and we had a lot of rain totals to see from our sky watchers that were pretty similar. 64 was the high before the rain and the wind got here, the strongest winds at least. 44 was the low earlier this morning. Fort Payne picked up about 6/10. Lafayette down to Calhoun, Georgia, only about 2/10. Fort Mountain had 4/10, as did Ellijay. Right here at Channel 3, we had 3/10. From Eastridge down to Lookout Mountain, about a half an inch or so. Ringgold, our skywatcher Johnny, also had about a half an inch. So these are pretty typical across the area. A little heavier out in Terrelltown, where Dave picked up 8/10. Up in 10 Mile, about 4/10. And Cagle to Pikeville, about 4/10 to a half an inch. So no more rain for the rest of tonight here in the city. It's all out towards the Blue Ridge, and it'll be ending there by midnight. So we're going to see dry weather through the night. The clouds will start breaking apart later tonight, and we're going to cool all the way down to 40 degrees in the city. Up in Grundy County and along the plateau, could get down to about freezing. 49, very chilly tomorrow, breezy, but lots of sunshine, and then down to 30 tomorrow night, below freezing lows tomorrow night. 56 for Monday on your 7-day forecast. We'll stay in the 50s for highs all through Thanksgiving week. Maybe a slight chance of rain on Tuesday, but pretty much dry Thanksgiving week. So Thursday and on Black Friday for your shopping, just dress warmly.
Yeah, you're going to need to. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Nick.
You bet.
All right. And nearly 500 people gathered at Coolidge Park this morning for autism awareness. More than 24 vendors were on site offering autism-related resources. People raised money as teams or individually for the Chattanooga Autism Center. And all the funds raised support local autism programs. This was the 5th year for the walk. And in other stories that we are following today, Chattanooga held its first ever hip hop festival celebrating the music culture. Now, this festival allowed about 40 different artists to hit the stage to perform their own music. The day-long event also included artist development classes. One of the organizers says this is only the beginning for hip hop in Chattanooga.
It's helped a lot of artists with exposure. It's helped a lot of artists kind of get themselves together for shows in the future.
The headliner performances are still going on right now at the Chattanooga Choo Choo. And up next in sports, a bowl game was on the line for the Tennessee Volunteers tonight. Jill has the highlights from their game against LSU. Plus, the Chattanooga Mocs close out the 2017 season on a good note. We have all that and more when we come back.
Welcome into sports, everyone. Thanks for staying up late with us. Well, it wasn't the start to the Tom Arth era everyone was hoping for. The Mocs certainly had their fair share of lows this football season, but also a handful of highs. And tonight was one of those highs. It was the final game of the regular season for UTC, which also meant that it was senior day for 22 Mocs. Defense was the name of the game in this one. The Mocs had former Cleveland quarterback Austin Heerink on the run all game long. The Bucks would then kick a field goal in the first quarter, and well, that would be all the Mocs defense would allow the whole game. After a while, though, things did get a little heated between the two teams as ETSU led 3-0 at halftime. Mocs, though, refocused after the break as Bradley Central grad Cole Copeland hits Brace Nunley on the outside, and the former Walker Valley star takes off running all the way to the 12. Copeland would then lead Joseph Parker in the flat, and Parker would run the rest of the way for the Mocs' first touchdown. UTC would then add a field goal late in the third to make it 10-3, and that score would hold. The Mocs finished the 2017 season 3-8 overall, but they end on a good note.
And you can go on and on and on with the adversity that this team has gone through and has dealt with and has responded to time and time again. And you know, in this game, you know, it's never about the talent. It's never about the talent. It's always about the character. And this group has incredible character.
Switching over to the SEC, the Tennessee Volunteers needed to win tonight's game against LSU in order to make a bowl game this year. But even with Butch Jones out of the picture, the Big Orange once again struggled on offense and could not find a way to slow down the Tigers' rushing attack. It was the first game back since Jones's firing last Sunday, as well as interim head coach Brady Hoke's first time calling the shots. The two teams traded a pair of field goals to start the game, but then UT's Marquez Holloway makes a mistake he will definitely want to get back. The sophomore was back on punt return when the ball goes right through his hands. LSU then recovers the ball and takes advantage of it right away as Darrell Williams busts into the end zone for his first of 2 touchdowns on the night. LSU would go up 17-3, but don't worry, Holloway gets to make up for it. Just before the end of the half, Jarek Arantano airs it out to Holloway, who then breaks free for the Tennessee touchdown. Vols trailed 17-10 at halftime, but the Tigers could not be stopped. Despite bad weather in the second half, LSU would keep pounding and add a pair of touchdowns in the third quarter as the Tigers race past the Vols 30-10 that final. Tennessee now drops to 0-7 in the SEC, 4-7 overall, marking the first time since 2013 the Vols miss out on a bowl game. Meanwhile, down south of the border, the Bulldogs look to rebound from their upset loss last weekend to Auburn as they played host to Kentucky today. And well, the seniors put on quite the show in their home finale. After a Nick Chubb rushing touchdown, Georgia takes a 14-6 lead as Jake Fromm hits senior Javon Wims down the middle of the field for the score. The Dogs would then strike again before the break. This time, though, it's senior fullback Sony Michel who breaks loose and runs it all the way in 37 yards. That would mark just his first of 3 touchdowns on the day as number 7 Georgia runs right past Kentucky 42-13. The Bulldogs will now get ready to play Georgia Tech to close out the regular season ahead of their SEC championship game December 2nd. Over in Tuscaloosa, it was another SEC spanking as Alabama rolled past SoCon member Mercer this afternoon, 56-0. They stay perfect at 11-0 on the season. The top-ranked Crimson Tide was an obvious mismatch for the FCS opponent. Quarterback Jalen Hurts led Alabama to touchdowns on each of his 4 possessions, including this 66-yard dime to Calvin Ridley. Next up, it's on to the Iron Bowl for the Crimson Tide. Alabama will travel to Auburn next weekend. Winner moves on to the SEC championship. Over on the hardwood, the Lady Mocs basketball team snapped their 3-game losing streak today, earning their first win of the season against Presbyterian. Chattanooga led for the entire game and maintained its double-digit lead in the fourth quarter, winning 71-51 over the Blue Hose. Sophomore Lakeland Bolden scored a career-high 21 points and was 4 for 7 from the three-point line. Meanwhile, senior Ariana Gilbert scored in double figures for the 4th straight game. Afterwards, head coach Jim Foster was pleased with the improvement of their effort.
We played better. I mean, that's what's important. Harder, we were tougher. A 40-minute effort. We haven't had that. We hadn't learned how to do that, and some good things happened.
So now the Lady Mocs will host, actually the Lady Mocs are on the road against Indiana Monday. The men will host Alabama State this Monday as well.
Well, that's good to know, and I know some people in this room are looking forward to the Georgia Tech game with
Not
his
me.
Georgia Tech tie right there.
I was, but I don't know about now.
It's going to be tough for your Yellow Jackets.
I mean, it's going to be even easier probably for Georgia. Yeah. Georgia Tech couldn't even beat Duke today. I mean, give me a break. So, you know, go Dogs. Never thought I'd say that. But anyway,
wow.
I'll still watch it anyway. I'm going to support my team, and I'm going to watch that game. But anyway, it is going to dry out overnight. The clouds will be gone by early morning. So lots of sunshine tomorrow, but it's going to feel like a winter day, so bundle up. Temperatures only in the 40s all day, and it will be breezy too, and then warming back to the 50s Thanksgiving week. I didn't hear of any damage reports in our viewing area, so that's good.
Okay, good to know. That's it for us. Have a great night.
Hello, 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 hello. Let's do.
So we're like a black hole again. Yeah, didn't Cumberland County get hit?
Or I think I'm in queue. D1, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Had a tie in the GT tie because I was like, he's wearing.
Nice, good, wonderful. It wasn't the start to the Tom Arth era everyone was hoping for. The Mocs certainly had their fair share of lows this football season, but also a handful of highs. And last night was one of those highs. It was the final game of the regular season for UTC, which also meant that it was senior day for 22 Mocs. Defense was the name of the game in this one. The Mocs had former Cleveland quarterback Austin Heerink on the run all game long. The Bucks would be forced to kick a field goal in the first, and well, that would be all the defense would allow the whole day. After a while, though, things got a little heated between the two teams as ETSU led 3-0 at halftime. Mocs, though, refocused after the break as Bradley Central grad Cole Copeland hits Bryce Nunley on the outside, and the former Walker Valley star takes off running all the way to the 12. Copeland would then lead Joseph Parker in the flat, and Parker would run the rest of the way for the Mocs' first touchdown. UTC would add a field goal late in the third to make it 10-3, and while that score would hold, the Mocs finished the 2017 season 3-8 overall, but end on a good note. Switching over to the SEC, the Tennessee Volunteers needed to win last night's game against LSU in order to make a bowl game this year. But even with Butch Jones out of the picture, the Big Orange once again struggled on offense and could not find a way to slow down the Tigers' rushing attack. It was the first game back since Jones's firing last Sunday, as well as interim head coach Brady Hoke's first time calling the shots. The two teams traded a pair of field goals to start the game, but then UT's Marquez Holloway makes a mistake he will want to get back. The sophomore was back on punt return when the ball goes right through his hands. LSU then recovers the ball and takes advantage of it right away as Darrell Williams busts into the end zone for his first of 2 scores on the night. LSU would go up 17-3, but don't worry, Holloway makes up for it here. Just before the end of the half, Jarrett Garantano airs it out to Holloway, who then breaks free for the Tennessee touchdown. Vols trailed 17-10 at halftime, but the Tigers could not be stopped. Despite bad weather in the second half, LSU would keep pounding and add a pair of touchdowns in the third as the Tigers raced past the Volunteers 30-10 that final. Tennessee now drops to 0-7 in the SEC, 4-7 overall, marking the first time since 2013 the Vols miss out on a bowl game. Meanwhile, down south of the border yesterday, the Bulldogs looked to rebound from their upset loss last weekend to Auburn as they played host to Kentucky. And while the seniors put on quite the show, after a Nick Chubb rushing touchdown, Georgia takes a 14-6 lead as Jake Fromm hits senior Javon Wims down the middle of the field for the 27-yard score. The Dogs would then strike again before the break. This time, though, it's senior fullback Sony Michel breaks loose and runs it all the way in 37 yards. That would mark just his first of 3 scores on the day as number 7 Georgia runs right past Kentucky 42-13. The Bulldogs will now get ready to play Georgia Tech to close out the regular season ahead of their SEC championship game December 2nd. And over in Tuscaloosa, it was another SEC spanking. Alabama rolled past SoCon member Mercer this afternoon 56-0 to stay perfect at 11-0. The top-ranked Crimson Tide was an obvious mismatch for the FCS opponent. Quarterback Jalen Hurts led Alabama to touchdowns on each of his 4 possessions, including this 66-yard dime to Calvin Ridley. Next up, it's the Iron Bowl for the Crimson Tide. Alabama will travel to Auburn next weekend. Winner moves on to the SEC championship game. Over on the hardwood yesterday,